Good day everyone, so in this video you will see a C0 Yain and F2P team. This team is obviously very difficult to play, so not a lot of content creators actually sort of cover it. But whilst we're on that topic, before actually beginning, I'm personally frustrated by seeing a lot of content creators suddenly coming out now, and I'm talking about like 10 or so content creators on YouTube and Twitch and so on, and all of them saying, yeah, Miko's gotten better, but please remember that, there's no iframing on her E and all this sorts of good nonsense, and you must E triple QE, which I've seen a lot. I've seen a lot of people repeat that mantra, and it's just so frustrating because, as you will see in the background, that's not really how we wish to play. Yeah, we've got to be very cognizant of how we sort of stack and sort of dish out all our buffs. But in any case, let the gameplay do the talking. Of course, today we're using Kagra's Verity. Last time we used the Witsiv. I honestly don't think it's really going to matter, and you'll see with the clearing times it's really not a big deal. Of course, there's going to be no healing, so we're going to have to try our best on this first floor to avoid taking damage. So the implication here is obviously that we have to be very careful in our positioning and so on. But immediately right off the bat, you can see here that I'm trying to first group up the enemies, shred the electro resistance, obviously activate quicken, and then I use my Miko's elemental burst. So this is the entire idea with Miko. You put down the turrets, you sort of get electro onto most of these enemies. This means we can shred their resistance. If we apply sucrose and we swirl the electro, we can sort of activate the activates with Technery, and of course then we can hit really hard with Miko. And one of the key things here about using Technery and of course sucrose in order to keep these enemies grouped up and so on is the fact that even if they are very mobile, like you can see these dogs are like very happy to just dash around, by keeping them relatively confined or sort of to a certain area, my Miko totems and obviously Fischl and Oz can just auto hit these enemies regardless of where they're at. And this is one of the cool things about Miko's off-field DPS. You don't have to worry about it. Just shred some of resistance with some animo units, keep a bit of dendro on the enemies, and you're good to go. Now, in the background, you might have noticed that my clearing times are not the fastest with this team. Obviously, I had to play a bit more conservatively because of the corrosion and so on, because I didn't want to lose too much health. But I do think 1 minute 30 is more than enough to beat up Thunderbird. Right, so on this floor, a lot of people have complained that the DPS requirement is very high. So what you'll see me do is, of course, stagger the enemies, apply sort of again the quicken reaction, and then we're going to hit very hard here with Miko. And whilst they're staggered and everyone else's cooldowns are, well, on all their abilities are on cooldown, I'm then going to use my EEE on Miko, and then I'm sort of just going to repeat the little pattern and so on. And as you can see, by grouping up the enemies very smartly, we've reduced most of their health. So these two are I've got like very little health left. They're obviously going to come to me, and this is a good thing because of that fact, I can now start setting up for the next wave. And yeah, here I am. It's pretty easy. We're gonna again just quickly group up all the enemies, because even though they're tanky, if we can hit all of them simultaneously like we did here, then yeah, we're gonna have like very good clearing times. So this is the key to beating these enemies. It's all about playing very smartly with your team, unlike me not dodging or looking or seeing that the enemy is going to hit me. But I mean, mistakes are made. It's what it is. But as you can see, the clearing is not too bad. It's all about just understanding how you should layer your abilities, and then of course taking out the enemies. So we are in a very good spot. We've got most of our elemental burst ready, and now we can tackle the final floor. Now, I'm not going to choose elemental burst or healing, because I think people might say, well, that's just too much of an advantage given all the previous buffs, so it's going to be whatever. We're going to have low health here, and of course not the full max damage, but hey, this is what makes it entertaining. So here again, as you can see, what I'm doing is I'm setting up my eye, putting all the debuffs onto the enemy, and then I'm sort of attacking. The other cool thing here with Yai is if you're just careful with your positioning and how you sort of move and so on, you can still hit the enemy even if he's in the air. This is a very nice thing about Miko. And her synergy with Fischl is also to be noted. Of course, these two just constantly generate electroparticles. It's just really cool. So yes, I think a lot of people misunderstand Yai. They think she's a simple character that you just put down turrets, totems, and you forget about her, but there's quite a lot more that goes on into managing the character, setting up all of your debuffs onto the enemy correctly, understanding how to use her elemental skill and weave in iframes towards the end, understanding that there are certain internal cooldowns associated with dashing and so on. There's quite a lot that makes up Miko, and the biggest thing is how you lead the enemies and how you understand the positioning of the character. And once you get that right, you'll find that she's anything but simple.